Okay, it is. It's Simple Dimple. It's Simple Dimple, my friend. It's Simple Dimple. Okay, I honor those of you who happen to be watching this video in the universe. If you are a decent being, and when you hear the Bloomster say that, it's real Simple Dimple. Actually, it's just simply implying that you ain't that your heart chakra is activated and you do not go out of your way willfully, knowingly, and intentionally to make problems for other people's lives simply because you cannot relate. You understand the universal law of reciprocity. You might even adhere to old adage of philosophical textbooks and scriptures that says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And you don't have it as a bumper sticker in your office, nor on your license plate. It's just something that you live out of your heart, and not because you're going to fry in a lake of fire. If you don't, actually, even those who claim to believe all that stuff, they must ain't scared of the lake of fire enough for the way that some of them are conducting their lives. Now, that's not what this, because they believe that. I'm only going there because it's their system. So if it's your system, then your behavior ain't matching your so-called fear of it. But that's a whole nother video, because I'm kind of sure murderers, fornicators, I can go on. Those who, the least of these you've done unto me, so terrorizing the disabled for your own gain. Yeah, I'm kind of sure, according to the book, that's a problem. Oh, see, it's this just be stuff people is hooping and hollering, but then they'll go and abuse a disabled person as soon as they walk out the church. That's crazy, isn't it? Anywho, this is not about that. This is a Simple Dimple, my friend. And this don't even have anything to do with the TI stuff. So I do a lot to do with those that are scapegoated and TI'd and all that, but this is in general. This is anybody. This actually what we're going to be talking about. It's anybody. Just growth, maturation, life. It's anybody. This applies to anybody. I think I asked the question: would you date or befriend someone who let you suffer? And I know even when I typed it, it sounds like, okay, well, you don't even got to ask that. It's Simple Dimple, Brandy. It's Simple Dimple, Bloomster. It's Simple Dimple. Common sense. Common sense. Yeah, that ain't deep. Common sense. It's a resounding no. Everybody, no. Anybody who says yes, we might want to go check, put them in the mental, get them checked. So it's a resounding no. Okay, well, let's play with it. Because see, when we start dealing with life and talking about life, just life off camera, off stage, off camera, away from leaders and authority figures we're trying to impress. Okay, when we do those things, hold on a second. When we do those things, it's a everyday mundane life, right? Just living. And with living comes is secular. It comes even under the most normal circumstances. So this is why I said this applies to everybody, because TIs are dealing with normal circumstances in conjunction with unnatural manipulation. Okay, so they have both aspects that they live through. But this applies to even folks who have not been targeted, ganged up on, community organized, haven't been targeted in that way, don't have some kind of weirdo background energy manipulating situations. Okay? But even still, life is still secular. Even still, misfortune happen, tragedy, you get sick, you get laid off, economy, you get, you know, maybe, a jealous boss somewhere, isolated event, not something that's patterned, but, isolated event that, got a hair up their ass, a stick up their ass, and something about you triggers the bejesus, these these types of things happen. They happen. Some of us have the differently abled community. Some of us are caring for that population as children and then when they grow up. And that's an animal in itself. Just because people get to see these folks for 5 minutes, for 30 minutes, for an hour, you know what I'm saying? They're not day to day. They don't live with whatever trauma these individuals often have. They don't live with the phobias that these individuals often develop. They don't live, because they're affected by life as well. Okay? What affects their caretaker affects them. This is why I say the system has failed a long time ago. It failed it did. Hell, possibly before I was even grown. It failed. It failed because what affects the parent or the caretaker affects the child, whether the child is disabled or not. But certainly if they are, okay? Now, let's say this is somebody you knew, you grew up with, somebody you went to college with, somebody, you can put any scenario you want, and they're privy to your who you are. They're privy to your situation, and I have to add these disclaimers because, again, if somebody is just as going through the same tragedy, it's like the only thing they can do is listen to you. Okay, so we're going to say, all things being equal, that they are in positions to take some of the suffering out, and they don't. And let's say, just follow me. I'm going to give some examples to help you all play with it, because this is the way, it's real time life happening, okay? And if you're someone like me, you may have a tendency to go a little bit too understanding or too understanding, because you go, okay, well, nobody else me anything, okay, everybody's got life happening, okay. And it's beautiful, but it also almost glazes over the lack of concern and care for you and your children, if you have children. So, because if someone is in a position to do something and they don't, why should you want to go to Starbucks? And I'm just throwing that out there as for shits and giggles, just to be silly. Not everybody even likes Starbucks, okay? Just whatever. It might be like me, prefer coffee bean. Oh my God, they have the best. Oh gosh, I was so happy to get some coffee bean, bitch. Because I'm getting off topic because I'm just thinking about it right now. They're frozen coffee. Depending on what flavor you get, they use like this powder form of something, and oh my God, you can tell them, oh, it's good. Anywho, so why should you want to befriend or date a person that is cheap? See, listen, just follow me, because we're trying to come from the premise of somebody that supposedly cares for you on some level. We're not talking about, even with a stranger to a degree, because if they trying to be all up in your get up and shit, you're trying to be all up in my get up. Ain't nobody, especially the ones that they show up in your life and you are going through these tragedies and you go, okay, I'm really not in the place, but they insist, because some of you may be very similar to me. I got to a certain age where and I don't know if it was age or if it was just the work I was trying to do on myself, but it was kind of like, I was like, I'm trying to focus. I need my dollar bills, bitch. I need my money on fleek. And I need my health and well-being. I'm trying to get this business going. I'm trying to do this, I'm trying to do this for my son. I'm trying to get stability. That became priority, not riches. Did you hear that? Not that there's anything wrong with riches, because that ain't the root of evil. The root of evil is motherfuckers is fucked up and money just amplifies it. So now, I said stability. Okay? The stability. I didn't say riches. Okay. Now, you could have got to a place, or you get to a place and say, okay, I'm not in the position. This may be your maturation. Okay, this ain't the time for me to be trying to date nobody. Okay, or even, in the dating side of it, befriending may be a little bit different, because you meet people that's going through shared experiences, or just kind people. That might be a little different. But it's like, okay, dating. Okay, so I'm not really in a position to be dating right now. All of my time, my thoughts, my energy, my focus is going towards, I'm trying to rebuild myself. I'm trying to get us in a better position in life. All my energy is on transforming here. So it wouldn't even be fair to date somebody, because to date somebody means that I have a responsibility to show up in this relationship. I have a responsibility to care mutually about you and who you are. And maybe this is not the time for that. Okay. And some of us experience folks that they feel like they're there to be somebody you can rely on in that time frame. But listen, here's my point. People that can watch you unnecessarily suffer when they could maybe take some of that away from you, we have to question what their motives are. Somebody can't give you a $12 bus ticket, that they can't help fund a $12 bus ticket for you, and they know you're homeless or jobless, or if they can't fund that, that's a red flag. That's a red flag. Like, if somebody's always trying to pass the buck to someone else, like they care for you, but they're always trying to defer you to someone else, we have to question that. Or they don't use, in a good way, in this benevolent way, they don't use their connection with business A, so and so, boss leader A, B, C, D, E, F, G. They don't utilize it to get you the royal treatment, to get you, to take some of the sting of what you're experiencing. Maybe you're experiencing something horrific, and they want to help take some of the sting out of that, some of the humiliation out of that, some of the unnecessary stuff that you would go through normally, just you going through that process by yourself like any other general public person. If they don't do that, we have to question what their motives are. If they didn't make their way to come and see you when you were in a better space, if they didn't contribute to, if you had a cause and you were trying to build, and you're trying to, everybody else out there is, getting causes, starting things up to, help support me trying to build, blah, 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 and if they didn't advocate for that, they didn't use their position, they didn't use their network, they didn't contribute, they did nothing. They did nothing. One excuse after the next, month after month after month. Should you want to befriend them? Should you want to go out and hang out? Should you want to see them when they could have done something to make your life better? People who care for you want to make your life comfortable. People who care for you aren't getting off on watching you suffer and struggle. They're not trying to play daddy, mama, or God. People who care for you aren't secretly going behind your back and actually working against who you are and working against what you're building. People who care, listen to me. It's simple, Dimple. And see, here's the thing. When we're distraught and in trauma and all these situations, people that don't really have all the greatest intentions for you often get off on that. Because people who care for you, they want to make your life comfortable in whatever way that they could. They want to make something easier in whichever way that they can according to where they're at. They're not secretly working against you. They're not in secret competition with you. They're not withholding options if they have options that would assist you. They're not telling others to do the same to keep you in some kind of jail imprisonment so that they can illegally surveil you. Someone who cares will not sit back and let you suffer if they can do anything about it at all. And you're not going to need to talk to them for 4 hours on the phone. You're not going to need, listen to me. They're not going to be dangling carrots in front of you. This goes for businesses as well. This goes for so-called case managers as well. People who really care for their clients, or those who care for, that's caring for their clients, they're not playing any bullshit ass carrot dangling carrot game to get you in his highs and lows, or to get information that they want to get. That's not the way people who care about their clients or people who care about you. So I'm possibly exposing businesses with this video as well, because that's not the way you roll. And we've all had experiences where it's like, we all got a story to where you get a good case worker or case manager, and they seem to be the ones who really go above and beyond, and they make sure that you're taken care of. And then you have some that likes to waste your time, give you false hope, and be bossy and want information, and you still don't get the service. And then they just plan, oh, well, thank you, I'm sorry, like that kind of stuff. Businesses who care for you, friendships who care for you, family who care for you, people who want to date you or befriend you who care for you, whatever the case may be. They will not sit back and let you suffer. They're not going to let somebody steal from you. They're not going to be in the knowledge of people doing all sorts of baneful shit to you and then sit up and not tell you that. People who actually care for you are going to tell you that. They're going to tell you. If they happen to know, they're going to tell you it. They're not going to be talking behind your back. They're not going to be secretly preying on your downfall. They're not going to sit back and know that you don't have some basics and do nothing, or just keep trying to put you in these community things. If you're the fucking community. See, I'm going to make humanity look in the mirror and take the mask off. We're the community. And especially if you go on more intimate, but this is what baffles me about a lot of folks who be in position, passing the buck. You're the community talking about you need to pray, you the answer. These be cheap motherfuckers. Asses is tight, crack walnuts. Cheap. But they want your audience. They feel like they should be able to have access to you. They feel like they should be able to talk to you. They feel like they should be able to see you, know where you are, what you're doing. You see what I'm saying? People who care aren't always trying to pass the buck. And they're trying to make it easier. Listen to what I'm saying. This is how we're learning some deep lessons about people who really care and who don't. They ain't sitting up there just preaching no damn sermon. They ain't trying to have you walk in the wilderness when they could give you $20 to wash your clothes. They're not trying to have you, I'm keeping it basic and I'm keeping it real. People's cheapness is getting some of them exposed. It's actually helping to reveal who's who. Folks' cheapness, tightness, and refusal to do anything really is helping to expose. Because listen, I've reached out to a whole lot of folks during this ordeal with me and my son. And I'm going to tell you that almost virtually no one did anything. There's an exception of two women. There's two women that I can say that financially, and I'm not talking about, this is not connected to a business, so it wasn't like they're an organization or whatever. No, I'm talking about just two women that, even though, ironically enough, now here's the fascinating, ironically enough, the two women, they're opposite, so they are on another spectrum. I can't get into what all their real motives are and so forth, but all I'm saying is two women stepped up. Okay, two women stepped up to do what they could with where they were at. Okay, one provided just a little cash. It wasn't much because $20 nowadays in 2026, $20 is equivalent to $5. You're not going to be doing much with it anymore. Okay, but they did what they could so that in that immediate moment I was able to get my son some church's chicken. The other one, again, they also exceeded and went above and beyond because, they drove, and that's time and that's gas, and, they contributed in a lot more financial ways. Okay, now that's my point. People who care for you. Once again, I cannot speak on what these two women's true motivations were. I'm just talking about their actions. People who care for you is not if they're in a position, if they have any power to do anything about it, they're not going to sit back and just go, sit there and listen to you talk and tell you some parable. They're not going to send you around the Americas with resources, and even still, you get treated the same way anyone else does. People who have power and position and resources to help you and can make it easier, if they care for you, they do. So in other words, we don't want this. This has already been a tragedy. This has already been taxing. This person is disabled. Could you all do this, get this all going, the process when they get down there? They ain't got to be sitting out there dealing with all kind of craziness. And we ain't got to worry about the incidences in which happened. People who care for you are trying to find a way to low-key humiliation ritual you while trying to steal your essence and act like they you. People who care for you aren't looking for ways to humiliate you. People who care for you aren't looking for ways to get off on your difficulty, on watching something be a struggle, on watching your kids spaz out with phobias and people laugh at them and be cruel to them. People who love and care for you. You tell them how you've been abused and how you've been traumatized and what's been happening to you and how this is taking a toll on you and your children. They're not sitting up there talking about, yeah, they're trying to figure out what can I do to make them smile. See, people tell us how they really feel about us, not with their language, not with their conversation and words. Not with the fake wellness checks and the fake concern, lacking follow through, lacking any real actions to make anything better. People who care for you, they're not going to downplay your situation, your cycle of life. They're not going to downplay it. They're not going to try to gaslight you, convince you that this is not what you're going through. This is something else. People who care for you want your children happy. They want to see your children healthy. They want to see your children happy. They want to see your children safe. And if there's anything they can do about that, they will, without you needing to ask either. When you talk to them and they know about what's going on, people who care for you seek ways of how they could make your life better. So if this person don't want to make your life better, you want to go to the Starbucks? You want to hang out? You want to talk? You want to chit chat? You want to shoot the breeze? You want to go to a restaurant? You want to stay in touch? Why? So they can be an informant? Do we want to hang out with people who are okay with us being uncomfortable when there was something they could have done to make something more comfortable? I'm going to set the record straight. I'm going to make it clear into the cosmos. I have 0% intention with befriending and hanging around anybody that I don't have to. I mean, there's certain things that as I'm navigating through, you have to have conversations with all these various entities and stuff like that. But it's going to be bare minimum and bare basic. I have 0% intention with communing and hanging and seeing and visiting and talking and chatting with people who have sit back and watched me and my son suffer. We're not some project, and we're not about to be somebody's project so that they could appear like whatever and come and look at us in our little terrible situation. I don't think so. That's canceled. I don't think so. My time and energy is precious, and I don't care. Like I said, if I lived in a cardboard box, this is a valuable lesson that I've started working on and learning several years ago. This whole exploitation of vulnerability is disgusting. we normal people under any circumstance would not want. That's why I put this poll up here. Would you date or befriend someone who let you suffer? Anyone with half a decency of sense, scruples, functioning properly in their get up, it's a resounding no. They let people persecute you. They let people terrorize you. They let people stalk you. They let people bully you. They let people do stuff to your children. They let people do stuff to your living, dwelling space. They let people do stuff to your social media. They let people, do you want to have coffee with this individual? Worse yet, they lied on you. Let's say this person lied on you. Lied on you for some trash. Lied on you so they can have their name in lights. Lied on you so they can get some money. Lied, whatever. Lied on you because they favored another friend, another family member, whatever the case. Would you trust them? Because again, if they couldn't get you a $12 train ticket and they not a broke nigga or a broke bitch themselves, and listen, I'm at the stage in life where I don't care. Listen, and maybe you are too. I don't care what people's story is in terms of they always had people using them. And they always dealt with, because everybody's got a story. They always had people who was using them. They always had brothers and sisters that was using them. They always had everybody, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. Because we not everybody. Because we're not talking about them being in everybody else's face. We're talking about them being in yours. I don't care no more. Because I'm like, yeah, I'm not talking about all that. Just as sure as shit, when I meet people and when I am ready to date and stuff like that, I give it all that I have to not, I try, and when I miss it, I try to correct it. I give it all that I have to not bring my previous relationship on that person. Because they ain't got nothing to do with the motherfucker that was before them, and because people always did this. So I give those intentions because I know with my conscious mind, I know that it's unfair, and that I need to give that person their fair shot. And if it turns out that they're just like that other person, then that's fine. But I take that with me. It's like, okay, so since I take that with me in connections or whatever, to try to be mindful and aware and make corrections when I need to not be bringing, because every time I was in a relationship, they always, everybody, because you're doomed from the out. Before you come out the stable, you're already doomed because it's already there. The only reason why I'm going to say this on the side of me. I can't speak for the other person that I was in a relationship, but on the side of me, okay, my last romantic relationship, I'm going to say that I honestly, as I reflect, I'm not saying that I'm perfect, and I'm not saying that I went about everything 100%, but I really, once I decided, because I took my time, okay, I did have an approach. I didn't jump right in per se, okay, but once I decided to, I talked myself through. Once I actually decided to, I remember this. Once I decided to, I also told myself, okay, I remember saying it to myself. I said, all right, I don't know, feeling some kind of way. But I tell you what, if you're going to do this, then give it a fair shot. Give it a fair shot. And if it turns out to be your instincts was right, okay, well, lesson learned. But if you're going to do this, give it your all. Be fair. Give it clean slated. This person is not everybody that you dated. So let them show you. If they turn out to be a jerk, let their behavior display so that you can judge based on what you're getting in the connection versus what you have from others. So I'm in a space in life where I don't care. That ain't gonna fly with me no more. Because when somebody's talking about sitting in my presence, then we talking about me now. We're not talking about all of the 1,000 people who always got their hand out, the 1,000 of people who always hustling, the 1,000 of people who always, is what they call it, a slacker, the 1,000 of people who, we're talking about me. And that's what I'm going to hold people to now. We're talking about me. And we're talking about, when folks are trying, they want your presence. They want a connection. It's like, not if you cheat. No, you ain't. No, you ain't. Nope. Not if me and my children sitting up with some dirty clothes when you could have, Holy Ghost. You know what I'm saying? Since people will talk that shit, you know what I'm saying? No. Sometimes people be trying to manufacture some other stuff, and that's something else that's just on the no list here in this poll. People who don't respect you, where they're contemptuous, even if it's in a covert way. It's like, no, you do not deserve my audience. No. And anybody with sense. And see, what's fascinating, I think that sometimes folks feel like if you're in a bad way, if you're in a bad financial situation, like you're not supposed to have you ain't supposed to have no self-love and self-respect. That if you're in a bad way, a financial hardship situation, you essentially is supposed to be basically open to whatever. And that's really abuse culture, and it's kind of narcissistic. Sometimes people be wanting to manufacture that so that they can have an audience with you. But that only ticks me off. Once I get a sniff in when that's what's going on, it's like, okay, I bet you they not gonna ever get ever bet, because it pissed me off. Who in their right mind? See, just because the world often have a very screwy, kind of mindset, where it's like you're in a financial situation, so you're supposed to be stupid. You're in a financial hardship, so you're supposed to be. They equate that to humbling. I don't want the audience of nobody that feel like it's their job to humble me. They can kiss my natural black ass. And I only say natural because it's common that everybody got an ass job. Okay? They got some alterations done to that ass. They done sucked the fat out of one place and stuck it up their ass. Okay? Am I hating on that? No. But sometimes these are the people, they didn't forgot who, strip all that shit down off their ass. They didn't forgot. That's what happened to some of these people. It's like deflate all of, take shit. They always trying to strip somebody, strip them, and, deflate them fluffed up lips and asses and tits, snatch all that shit off them. Always trying to humble somebody. Always trying to strip somebody, snatch that Botox off them faces. And them cheek implants. You know what I'm saying? For so many people. I'm not hating on all that. I'm just saying these often be people who got, they got some kind of attitude and air about them, and they forgot like pre-1,000 surgeries what they ass looked like. And what some of their asses would look like now. This whole torture, brainwashing, I'm going to exploit your pain and vulnerability. To me, it screams, I don't really care about you. I might even be a secret hater. I might be one of your main corporates that's been working against you. I might be the one stealing from you. Or fucking the one who is. When you're distraught, this is the part that's like, it's okay, we catch this later. Some of us, it may take us a day or two or whatever, because again, that's why they manufacture a lot of stuff around us. But even aside from the manufacturing, when life is just chaotic, you are in distraught and you're just trying to get your bearings. You're just trying to find some answers and some resources. You're trying to be, show up and be as responsible as you can be. And so in the moments you let people talk their silliness. I know I do. I let people talk their silliness because I know some people, they cannot separate themselves. They don't know how to. I know that some people just don't know how to be human. They don't know how to just be human. That everything that they do has some kind of weird attachment. Everything that they do, they have to turn it into some kind of a cause. It's like sometimes the cause is just to be kind. I think I might put that on a t-shirt. That's what the cause is sometimes. Sometimes the cause is just to be kind. And drop it. It's in the Bible. It's in the Bible that some of these people read. That's the fascinating thing about that too. So, sometimes it's just to be kind. Nope, I didn't say preach. I didn't say give a sermon. I said just to be kind. Sometimes that's all it's supposed to be, and it's fascinating how a lot of humans nowadays, that's not really what they operate in anymore. It has to be attached. It has to be about some kind of cult mission. It has to have some kind of attachment, devoid of being fully present with that person. Listen, sometimes folks know what they need. And it's not for lack of knowing. Oh, hell no. What is he watching? Lord have mercy. Sometimes folks know what they need. It's not for lack of knowing what they need. It's for they have been blocked from being able to create and trying to find their way in order to create what they need in order for them to feel better or their lives to be better or their energy to be better and so forth. And it is infuriating for people when you go from town to town, person to person, company to company, organization to organization, who really feel like they know what's best for you. And because they can't recognize the things that you've learned. For an example, I've learned so much over the last few years about the world of energy, quantum physics, the biofield. And I learned some holistic things and tools that can assist, that as I started implementing them, it proved, it wasn't about, it proved, it showed me. And so I adapted some of those things. And then when you're placed in situations where it's like basically you can't do none of the shit, for an example, soaking in water, you need a bathtub. These are some of the things that you can do to help yourself. Everybody's always talking about if people need to stop, you can't help nobody who don't want to help themselves. Well, somebody's trying to help themselves in the way that helps them, not in the way that helps you.
Why they need to use a bathroom?
And that's the thing I'm talking about, People love saying them catchphrases. They love that, You can't teach you gotta, you gotta teach them to fish, or else they ask, just all these cool sayings. It's like, okay, sometimes people don't need you to teach them to fish either. Sometimes they know how to fish, and sometimes they need people to get the fuck out the way of the way they fish, and allow them the things that they have implemented that helps them fish in a way that serves them the way it needs to serve them. Sometimes people don't need to be taught to fish. They need people to stop messing with their game. So then when the person, this is why I said, will you want to be friend and date somebody who let you suffer? Because all of that, again, environment matters, the basic things matter, and that's going to affect your child, your state of mind, your emotional being, all those things. It ain't about just no cool quote, the devil ain't got no power and I'll get the God. This is ludicrous. Why is kids killed today, bitch? I'm gonna need somebody to answer me. And stop all this sayings. Sometimes we need to stop. Just stop. What of it of all these beautiful, innocent lives out here? The way we have gotten changed in life as we know it throughout history has always been because there was enough ragtag team of mofos who went against the grain. That's going to always be the story. It wasn't the yes men and yes women who made any real change. I promise you that. I promise you, it wasn't the scaredy cat ass kissers, sellouts. I promise you. The sellouts that get where they get, but it's blood on their hands. It's dishonorable success. Because they had to sacrifice. They had to sacrifice some things they had no business sacrificing. But any change as we know it, the freedom fighters, any of the stories, that stuff ain't pretty. It's not cute. It's not polished. It doesn't have a bow on it. It's not happy, joy 24/7. It's not like that. It's not following the rules to a T when the rules is what's creating the oppression. We know this. We know it. We brag about it, but often lose sight of it. Once we, the Jeffersons, once we, got our place in the sky rise. Nobody who loves themselves, I don't care if you don't have two pennies to rub together. It is a toxic culture. It is a toxic mentality that has this quiet kind of vibration, this quiet expectation that if you don't have nothing, then you should be walking around with your shoulders slumped, your head hung down, and basically tolerate people playing in your face, tolerate people not caring for you, being willing to watch you struggle and still be willing to go and have coffee with them because you, after all, you're desperate for a cup of coffee. If you have children and people can sit back and let you talk and they don't do shit, they're revealing, they're helping us to see who they are. They're helping us to know who they really for, who they really with. They're helping us to see that they really don't fuck with us like that. They really don't care for us or our children like that. That they may even be a part of what's working against us. I didn't realize how many fucked up people I knew. I'm just gonna be real. I didn't realize even how far back it went. I didn't. I didn't realize, you know what I'm saying? I got an interesting life story. You know, I've dated some interesting characters, but I didn't realize that a lot of them was more fucked up than even I knew. Like I listen. I didn't know. I didn't know. I've had a whole lot, listen, and maybe you have as well. I've had a whole lot of folk in my lifespan. I'm 50 years old. I've dealt with, ghosting and stuff like that. And you get over it. You go on. My life mission didn't become tracking these people and their wives and children down and stuff. Like I did not, I didn't morph into this weirdo energy where I can't think straight unless I'm trolling them and their wives, social media, um, unless I'm trying to, defame them in some way and create some kind of a sabotage for life as they know it. I went on with my life. That's what healthy people do. Telling my story is not the same thing as just trying to sabotage somebody because they ghosted you. It's vastly different. I didn't know. I had people in high places, that never got over the fact that we stopped talking or we broke up, and saw me in social media and decided, like, I didn't know people could be like that messed up. I hadn't, I wasn't paying attention. I didn't know that it was that close. Hell, I didn't know that my own relatives was that screwy in their head. It was the hardest thing to see play out when I went to Las Vegas, when I went to Nevada. I didn't know. I knew that I had some standard stuff like everybody else. I didn't know. I know now. I know now. I didn't know that people was hung up like that, and so now it's like, yeah. As this poll says, and it looks like I got 2 votes. No, I got 3 votes. I think there was 3 votes on the poll that asked the question: would you date or befriend someone who let you suffer? So I got 100% answers being no, and I kind of knew that I would. I knew, Because I'm like, ain't nobody with sense gonna be like, yeah, sure, sure, sure. And that's kind of why I worded it that way. Because in real time, in real life, whether you're a targeted individual or not, whether you're dealing with something on a grander, corrupt enterprise scale, or you're just dealing with the standard everyday things that everyone else is dealing with. When you go through the cycles of life and any kind of tragedy or misfortune and injustice or terrible loss or suffering to you and your children, and they know about it, and if they can do something about it and don't, you ain't gonna want nothing to do with them. You don't need fixing. You need people who care. People who care without agendas. People who are introspective, folks who are working on themselves, because that's what keeps you out of that space of acting nasty out of insecurity and jealousy. This situation has helped me to accept, because there's really no reason and no excuse for some of the people that I reached out to, because some of the people that I reached out to got money. They got money. And if they didn't want to give it, like if they wanted it, they could have contributed to the GoFundMe, and they didn't. They could have even promoted it if they really wanted to help, and they didn't do that. So some are going to find out their little plot and plan and scheme is about to blow up. You do not, especially if you're calling yourself any kind of a decent person, if you're calling yourself any, and I mean any kind of a decent person, if you're calling yourself so-called God-fearing, if you're calling yourself spiritual, if you're calling yourself whatever, you do not. And you do absolutely the fuck do not exploit people's misfortunes and vulnerabilities. You don't do that. Especially somebody with children or somebody taking care of a disabled person. You don't fucking do that. And then shout 3 times, run around church. You don't run your mouth. You don't sit back and do nothing. You don't play musical resources. You do what you can do with honor. Something else. So this is going to help the world to see who's who. 13, 14, because talk is cheap. Bible quotes, talk is cheap. Spirituality is cheap. I don't care if they didn't donate it to all the places you can donate to in America. It's an indictment when people can sit up there and have all these causes and charities, but then when it hits home to people that they claim to care about or grew up with, they can do nothing. They foul. Simple as that. No, ain't nobody trying to go to Starbucks, the Coffee Bean, bitch, with motherfuckers who can sit back, betray, watch us suffer, and then think we want to hear anything they got to say about whatever they selling, their beliefs, their God, or anything else for that matter. Child, please.